Good afternoon, everyone. I will now call this meeting of the Township Fire Department Joint Board of Management to order at 2 p.m. And we'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history and living culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the three fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. We recognize that these lands are the territories of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, collectively known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the keepers of this land. Georgian Bluffs is located on lands encompassed by treaties 45.5, 67, 72, 82, and 93. We reflect on our role as treaty people and the need to live in respect and peace and show respect to the First Peoples who inhabit these lands and waters. Before I go to approval of the agenda, I'd like to welcome Member Tony Bell to the Board of Management. Thank you for being here. And I'll leave it to you to introduce yourself to everybody else.
Yeah, I think I know everybody pretty much, Mayor Carlton, but it is nice. I've looked forward to joining the Township Fire Department, and I think that the chief knows that I have always supported the Township Fire Department, the service that they render out in our area, and it's much appreciated. So I'm looking forward to being on this board. So thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda today? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the agenda be approved as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Pringle and Member Keaveney, is there any discussion? We'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Does any member wish to declare a pecuniary interest? Seeing none, you may declare at any time if one should arise throughout the meeting. Moving on to minutes of previous meetings, the recommendation is that the minutes of Township Joint Board of Management meeting held on October 15th, 2026 be adopted. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Winters, Member Plegans, is there any discussion? We'll call the vote. All in favor? Public participation, we have none and no presentations, but just for the public's knowledge, any person who wishes to appear before the board regarding an item on the agenda must register with the clerk's office. To register, you can complete the online delegation form at www.georgianbluffs.ca/delegations. Call the clerk's office at 519-376-2729, extension 601, or register in council chambers with the clerk prior to the meeting start time of 2 p.m. We have no correspondence and staff reports. The first one is the 2025 Q4 report. Recommendation is that Township Board of Management receive report ITFD 2026-01 for information. Going to have a mover and a seconder, please. Member Keaveney, Member Bell, and I will turn to our Fire Chief Gautreau for your report.
Yeah, just give a quick highlight on that report. I just wanted to just mention the hats off to the firefighters. We've with the mandatory certification, we had firefighters go off and are hitting those benchmarks for like pump ops, company officer, those courses as well. We had two firefighters, two hires. We had the last hire have just completed their firefighter hazmat awareness, so now they're certified firefighters. So we're back up to everybody being certified again within our department. And I just want to kind of highlight as well, kind of hitting all the reports in one here if I can, but we did have an increase in calls at the end of last year. But when I was doing my research and looking at stats, our biggest increase was actually our medical calls. Our medical calls were up, we're up to here. So our medical calls last year were, in 2024, were 90. And this year, our medical calls were 134. So that's our increase, as well as we had a bit of an increase with our mutual aid calls as well. That's a little number that's up a little higher. So those are our two variables that affected the increase in calls. for last year, and starting out this year, it looks like we're going to have them. They're creeping up a little bit again this year. We're really in to get that. So.
Thank you. I will turn to the board for any questions. Member Keaveney.
Thank you, Chair Carlton. I have two questions, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Chief, may I ask you, first of all, in relation to the increased number of calls, in terms of the number of volunteers, sort of what is the threshold? At what point do you say to yourselves, I think we're going to need to increase our number of volunteer firefighters?
At this time, we're averaging at about 9 firefighters per call. That's it for everything. That's any call we respond to. So our medicals, they fluctuate from 5, 6, 7, and then up from there. So we have it. The variable there is I think 9 is manageable per call because our structure fires and everything, we're getting high numbers there. So at this time, I don't feel there's any concern with the numbers of having to increase at this time. We are getting some good turnouts, but you can say when we get some of our more senior firefighters retiring, whether that number is going to drop. But we do have a good core of people that are like semi-retired or self-employed that do show up to these calls. But it's kind of it'll be like kind of a year by year thing, or if we lose a bunch from the top end of our hires.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Carlton, that's good to know. And my second question, if I may, we see on the chart your medical calls, as you mentioned, and also your rescues are seeing an increase in numbers. Can you talk to the board about how training aligns with those increased calls? Do you adjust training to provide more medical training to the volunteers, or is the training always consistent and adequate with the calls? Just how does that line up?
Well, I'll let Andy talk because he can talk on the training because Andy spearheads the training. So we do like extra or medical training, but if Andy wants to address that a bit.
Actually, yes. So on the medical side, usually the month of March is that whole month is devoted to getting the firefighters up to first responder. So your first aid, CPR, and by mandatory certification, it's actually, some of them are 3 years. We do it yearly. So we make them go through it, and just to keep it fresh in their minds. Because again, we're dealing with volunteers that they might get out for 1 call, they might get out for 30 calls. So that repetitive training has to keep happening and keeping them fresh. So you never know when one of them could end up on scene first. So that we usually have a full month, sometimes even a little bit more, depending on people's work schedules. And we use Elaine Lang, who was a retired paramedic from Bruce County, and she does our certifications. So she's in the fire hall at least 5 times for training revolutions.
That's good to know, Deputy Redmond. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any questions from anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I will call the vote then. All in favor? That is carried. The next item is the Airlight Unit ownership, and the recommendation is that the Township Fire Department Joint Board of Management endorse the purchase and retention of the Grey County Fire Chief's Airlight Support Unit, ALSU. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Pringle, Member Bell, and I will turn to Chief Cottrell again.
Yeah, so the airlight truck, as you know, has been housed in our township fire hall since around COVID, 2018 or 19, and it was donated to us to the Grey County Fire Chiefs through the Bruce Power, so that's how we acquired it. Being with my predecessor, Chief Lynn Thorne there was only, our department stepped up to house that fire department on behalf of the fire chiefs for air support for the county. Since that's happened, it's been out, does numerous calls as well. It's utilized by our department as well for filling our bottles, for our training and stuff in-house. So it's kind of the trade-off for us housing it and operating it is we could operate it as a standalone unit. where other departments, when they were utilizing it, they are invoiced at this time. The Grey County Fire Chiefs have decided, you know, that it was getting harder for them to manage, being that our department was sending the invoices to them to have them like paid or track them and that, and they feel that that it would be easier if it managed by our department. That being said, during the whole this truck, when it came to us, it needed a lot of repairs. So the Grey County Fire Chiefs ended up putting in all the repairs to have it up to where it needs to be. So that truck at this time is in mechanically, it's in great shape. Andy will talk about that a little bit here too, to address that. So what we're asking is, we know there's, we would like to see that truck stay in our hall to function the same way it has in the past. Still utilize it for invoicing to departments that need it between Gray, Bruce, and we've had some interest from Simcoe as well. The over Berry Way, some of the departments in that, like along the fringe there, have expressed interest. They know what's here if needed. So if anything big comes in, it's more for utilized by us that utilize it all our fires we have. But most departments in the area, if they get a large scale fire, they will utilize the truck. So that is how we invoice when other departments will utilize it. So our thoughts, our hopes are is to keep it and maintain. And Andy can talk about the maintenance and the operation of it, because he was more involved in keeping the truck in service.
So the truck, two different things on the truck. There's a air system on that truck and the truck itself. The truck itself is probably worth about $40,000. We just put brand new rubber that almost at 10 grand on this thing. So that is just talking on the truck. Has a Mercedes engine, low kilometers. Bruce Power, they on a cycle replace their trucks quite frequently. I think it's important to let everyone know that when that was donated, that was a fairly good price tag that was donated to Grey County, and the Grey County Fire Chiefs was utilized as the name. They were bringing it really to Carl Linthorne and speared that for actually ITFD, and then he let it evolve for the county and made it to the Grey County Fire Chiefs. But that being donated, I think it's an important thing to let, to kind of emphasize on that, because Bruce Power donated. I think it's important, and I'm a little disappointed on the Grey County Fire Chiefs wanting to sell something that was donated to us and for a purpose. I think it's a shame to let this truck go. I know it comes with a cost, and the cost is the air quality on that. We have to have done every 6 months. So we do testing on that to make sure it's producing clean air for our air bottles. So that testing, we send, Jeff and I, one of us will do an air sample on it, send that away every 6 months for certification. Now, the biggest price tag on this truck was about $18,000, because Bruce Power, when they were cycling this truck through, they knew in the next 5 years, the whole air system in that, which is all the small metal lines, had to be replaced. That, as our due diligence, Jeff and I, is that it had to be done. So the Grey County Fire Chiefs had to assume that cost at $18,000. So between being anal on the tire end of thing and putting brand new rubber on this truck, $18,000 with a air system to get up to snuff, because again, it's good for 10 years. It was a big pill for them to swallow for what kind of money was coming into it. I think it's around $7,000. We're around that area now that's left owing on that. And they're just kind of wanting to wash their hands of this. The value of that truck alone, we could sell that, buy that truck ourselves and turn around and sell it. It'd be making money. But again, I don't think we should be doing that, because we don't ever want to ask Bruce Power for something again we turn around and sell. So I think that's in bad taste. But that's just my 2 cents on that. So talking mechanically wise, the truck is a very sound truck. It's in fantastic shape. It will be going in for certification here in June. It needs basically nothing, except for its annual and oil change. But everything else on that truck, from the truck and the air system, has been totally replaced. So we have a pretty good, I would say, a 10-year slate ahead of us that shouldn't have problems. I say shouldn't because, again, I can't rub a crystal ball here on the truck. Something could break tomorrow, but it is mechanically good, sound truck.
And just to build on that air compressor as well, that air compressor unit there, it's $100,000 to buy that unit just to fill the bottles. So moving forward, it's kind of in thoughts, there's different avenues we can approach, but it has the potential to even be taken off the truck and put into, say, a new location if we do ever have to relocate, or putting on the floor of the station, the existing station. So there's a potential there. So to let that go, like Andy said, we got that $100,000 compressor that we may have to put into the future budget that we don't have to this time. After talking to the gentleman of services, that he did all the work, said that we've got a compressor and we should be happy with it for quite a long time. There's not a lot of hours on it. I think it's only like maybe 1,200 hours, maybe at the most, on that compressor itself. So it's in pristine shape. Like Andy said, they replaced all the components that need to be replaced. So it's, and the chief's investor, there was a lot of money put into it to get it where it is now.
Member Bill?
Thank you, to the chief. So in the report, it says that the unit is used if your forces are training, use it for under that circumstance. Also, if there's a real world incident. So I take it that this unit travels with, if there's an incident, to do the bottles on site, that there's cuts down on delay or a lack of equipment for the personnel. That would be 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So is there any different training or licensing for any of your personnel that would drive this particular unit, or do the current licenses that they have with the size of the vehicle, they can drive it, or is there anything different?
No, they can drive it. They're all trained on how to operate the compressor, how to fill it, how to troubleshoot if there's a fault. Because sometimes you get a CO fault, they just have to know how to reset it or the process. So everybody that takes that truck is trained on operating it. So that's part of our Andy's annual training is we take everybody aside and we review it and show them how it needs to be done. Now, just an example, we've had it to Arthur before, to calls in Arthur. It's been over to Bruce County. I know South Bruce Peninsula, Erin Eldersley, North Bruce, they've utilized it quite a bit. Mount Forest have used it a lot. And actually all the departments, I think, in the county have used it at one time or another for the bigger fires.
If I may, Chair Carlton. So the unit that's filling the bottles, I'm familiar with what's the Scott pack. Is that pretty much a universal kit that the personnel have, or can this truck fill if another department didn't have a Scott pack? Do they have adapters?
Yes, we carry the adapters, so it will fill a 2216 bottle or a 4500 bottle.
Excellent.
No problem, and any makes.
It's a 6,000 pound compressor. So it's a cascade system that we pressurize to 6,000 pounds. So it fills a lot of bottles and any size or bottle we need.
Yep. Traeger is the only company that has an offset and you can fill a Traeger bottle with it. So it's not an issue.
Any other questions? Sure, go ahead.
Chair Captain, thank you. Again, two things, if I may ask. I understand, Chief, that a significant investment has been made by the regional fire chiefs to get this piece of equipment up to snuff, so to speak. So for argument's sake, if something did happen, an engine blew or whatever happened that you weren't anticipating, is there any sort of understanding or MOU or anything with the other chiefs that continued investment would occur, or would that fall on the ITFB board?
Moving forward, it's gonna be the ownership of ITFD, so it'll be managed and moving forward, whatever we do with that truck will be all done through ITFD. The Grey County Fire Chiefs won't be involved just in the purpose of utilizing it.
Thank you. And Chair, I think that answers my second question, and I just wanted to be very clear on what we're being asked for today. And that is the endorsement for ITFD to continue to own and operate this vehicle,
Yes.
recognizing that there is an annual deficit of 18,000, give or take.
Member Winters.
Thank you. If I may, through you, Chair Carlton. The ownership of this truck, whose name is this truck actually in today as we speak?
This truck is in Georgian Bluff's name, insured through Georgian Bluffs. The Chiefs could not own anything, so they did like an MOU. So it's an MOU that the Chiefs manage it, we operate it. Insurance at this time is paid by Grey County for the operation. So the Grey County pays the insurance of that vehicle as it is now. So everything's in our name. There'll be no transition of safety or anything like that because it's already in our name and owned by us.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Carlton. It all looks great. You can't go out and buy a chassis for that unit there now. You're gonna spend $100,000 to buy something to put under that unit anyway today if you go out there to try and buy that scenario. So to get it for the price we're getting it is good. And with 39,000 kilometers, it's almost, you shouldn't not buy it. So it's good to see that that's going in. And I liked in the report that you did have options if the motor does go to that truck, that you can put it on the floor in the fire hall, or you can buy a trailer and fit a trailer. There's options there to continue using the outfit, which made sense. As I was reading it, that's what I was looking for. Do we have options? Because motors go to vehicles all the time, so things can happen quickly. So that all was good. The only real kind of question I had for you was the $10 to fill the bottle. Where does that number come from? Is that a standard number?
Yeah, that's a standard. It was $8.50, but now it's increased to 10. So if we go to Owen Sound, that's what they're going to charge us a bottle. Or if we go to Wyerton to fill, or some other department, it's going to be, there is a fee for that.
Nope. So I was curious where that number came from.
So I have a couple of questions as well. Why are the other departments not wanting to take part? Why are they wanting to step back from this?
I think it's the management of it is like everything's done through, like we have to invoice them and all the paperwork goes through them. So I think they're finding it difficult on the chief's side of things to manage it. I think it's the biggest portion. And they would like to.
Sorry, just let me clarify. So are we invoicing the chiefs and then they have to invoice the specific departments that used it?
Yeah.
I got you. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
there's-
extra
there's
paperwork.
There's another step there in that whole, right?
And so are the other departments still utilizing this to get their tanks filled? Or do they have other places to fill their tanks? Do some of them already have a compressor of their own?
Yeah, they have compressors of their own, but they will utilize this truck for like their long duration calls. It was down to Hanover for like 13 hours when they had the big fire down there last 2 summers ago. So it is utilized even though they have compressors. What it's doing is saving people from shuttling bottles back and forth from a scene to their fire hall. If they have to refill bottles, there's that shuttling, and there's a lot of transportation of dangerous goods. There's a lot more rules coming down on carrying bottles. Like they have to be secured, standing upright, unable to tip over. So they're starting to put more demands on that. So we can't ask our firefighters to be driving around with a pickup with bottles rolling in the back of it either. That's where these departments will utilize us, is when they know they're going to be at calls for lengthy times and use a lot of bottles.
Okay. And I have another question that I've totally forgot. Okay. Anybody else? Member Winters.
It's a great idea. It's a great concept. I'm not against that. I sit here as a board member and I struggle a little bit with the fact that we're a board that represents 2 municipalities. This truck has slipped its way into our ownership and our facility. And it's basically a level of service that we're adding. but our councils have not given us the direction to add levels of service, is really what this is. And I always struggle with the ITFD from day one. We run medical calls, you safe, you're certified to a Superior Tanker Shuttle for X. But the councils have never given that direction for these are the level of services. And we just received our new master fire plan. And the fire master plan really should address that councils need to set those levels of service and then tell the board, this is what we want you to do based on council direction. So this is where I struggle with this. I think this is a great idea. It's a great concept. But is it the level of service? Because this is going to affect the municipal tax levy when we sit down and do a budget every year. It's a great truck today, but next year is it a $50,000 motor? Is it we're moving that $50,000 motor? Are we taking $100,000 and putting it into the fire hall or a new fire hall, or what are we doing? The compounding cost of this are going to keep going. And I just sit here and wonder if this really is a great presentation today, but whether or not this should be deferred to each individual council for another presentation saying, okay, guys, this is going to increase our budget moving forward. Is council prepared to do this?
You, Mayor Carlton, I think just wanting to maybe rebuttal what Rick is saying is I understand on a cost that, but also then ITFD or the chief is going to have to do a report to the board and to the council because we're in an age and a time and a call where we're going to have to put a system in our fire hall then. And we're talking a lot more than $7,000. So we have to have one. We can't keep trying to go to other places to fill our bottles. So either ITFD is going to have to step up, put a system in our fire hall, or we buy, and there is a couple of fire halls to the south of us that whenever they're buying a new truck now, they are having a system put on the truck. So maybe only fills one bottle at a time or possibly two. But that's kind of the way they've been going, but there's costs, large costs to that. So I think we're getting a pretty good deal here. But again, the chief is going to have to do a report here at some point and say, okay, well, we have to do something with ITFD and a system will have to go into our fire hall. So I don't know what a system to put in the hall would cost right now.
Over 100,000.
So.
That's kind of where I was headed with that is this is inevitable and it's going to be a cost.
Yep. Yes.
Is it a cost that this board says, hey, it's an $8,000 truck? Or is it opening the door for we're into a $100,000 expenditure in the next 5 years for the fire hall? At some point in time, the councils need to understand that level of service.
Hopefully this maybe get us a bias sometime for that kind of a thing. And we can, whether this 5 or 8 or 10 years down the road that we can, where we're getting maybe to a new fire hall and getting a system put in.
We know that what the master fire plan says, and this kind of is helping us get there.
Thank you. And that reminded me of what my question was to do with staffing. So if we already have guys out to call, does this truck automatically go with them to refill bottles when they're on call? Or what happens if during a call where we've already got guys out, somebody else needs that truck to go there? Do we have dedicated staff to turn around and take it elsewhere, or how would that all work out?
Yeah, there was 2 people to operate that truck. So if it goes to all our structure fires automatically. It goes and fills right on scene. If we're at a call and we can leave and get the truck to them, we will. But it's the first, if it's on scene with us, it'll be with us. No different than if we're in Hanover and we're at a fire down there and we need air, then if they can make it back, they can, but Hanover's already got us operating down there. So it's it'll work kind of both ways on the operation of it. So it does go to all structure fires and calls for service when needed.
Chair Carlton, thank you. And recognizing the comments from Member Winters and what we're hearing from the chief and the deputy, if you're making a motion to defer, I would second that. I would like to have further conversation with our own staff in Meaford, recognizing the deficit. I think is what's bothering me each year, that we're committing to that, and I would just like to have conversation at home before I support that. So I would second deferring it until July.
Are you making that
I
motion?
would make the motion, and I think, in the meantime, we could get it back to each council before July for review, for comment, and then come back to the board. Yes.
We'll look to the CAO. Is that an issue, getting it back in front of our council? Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? So I will call for the vote on the deferment. All in favor? That is carried. Okay. Next item is 2025 year in review. The recommendation is that report ITFD 2025-03 should be 2026-03 be received for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Keaveney, Member Plagans, and I will turn to the fire chief again for your report.
I'll touch on this a little bit. Is same thing as the last quarter. We did have some firefighters that last year got their service awards. We had some 20 and some 15-year awards. So we had 5, excuse me, between the 2 that got their awards. We're blessed to have Paul Vickers and Alex Ruff and Jill Dunlop are all in, just kind of presentations for the Silo Rescue recognizing us, which was a great thing to see. The recognition for our firefighters and their hard work they do every day. And like I did say earlier, our calls were up a little bit last year, and that's due to the medical and the mutual aid stuff, and automatic aid stuff were up a little bit.
Any questions there from the team?
Chair Carlton, just a small point, Chief. Jeff Fries, that incident happened at the Good Roads Conference, the OGRA conference, not at AMO on H2, so just to get that corrected.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I will call the vote on that one. All in favor? That is carried. Next item is the decon unit purchase. So the recommendation is based on the information provided in this report, we're requesting that the Joint Board of Management waive the procurement policy to permit the use of existing quotes in place of a formal request for tender. As quotes have already been obtained, it is further recommended that the board award the purchase of the Solo Rescue Decon washer, including the 10-year warranty, based on the submitted quotations and from recommendations for performance evaluations from other fire departments. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Pringle, Member Keaveney, and back to the fire chief.
Yeah, so, excuse me. We got these, there's only, for these units, these decon units, there's only 2 manufacturers that kind of met what we were looking for this as well. And so we have a Miko unit and a Solo brand, which they come at different prices. You'll see the prices there. And the reason that we are kind of leaning towards the Solo unit is that it has a 10-year warranty with that unit as well, which is if something happens, they'll replace it, and they will, if they can't fix it, they'll bring us a new one. The other unit, it's a 1-year warranty with it. And they haven't been around long enough to they get a proven track record. They're just a new unit. They're very, very few years old. So they haven't really proven themselves long track. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards the, with that 10-year warranty. And with that warranty as well, to maintain that warranty, excuse me, it needs to be serviced every 20 months. I reached out to the company there, and the service, for them to come in and service it is $900. So to have that unit checked every 20 months to make sure it's operating properly, and then to maintain the warranty. And with this as well, I've also, with the purchase of this unit, I went to Firehouse Subs, and I've got an application out there, a draft out there. It's actually in May. They'll be awarding the successful people for their grants. So I did put a subway grant in there as well. To apply for that, I had to use a unit. So I used the Solo unit because that was the first one that came in. But that being said, is if the board decides today, yeah, we're going with it, we'd like to see to go with the Miko unit, then I can use the Firehouse Sub money for that unit as well. So it's interchangeable as long as we're buying the gear decon unit. So that's, I sold that to Firehouse Subs as a cancer, part of our cancer checklist, which is, it meets the requirements under that as well. So hopefully maybe that's an option as well. So either way, I just wanted to put the subway or the Firehouse Subs in there so you understood that we can use it for other things. So that's kind of the reason we lean towards, both of them are equal, but we just thought going with the 10-year warranty would be a good option.
Board 4 questions.
Through Chair.
Go ahead.
Jeff, have you looked at the Ontario Fire Marshal for their funding and the grants towards cleaning equipment for cancer-based stuff? And if you have, what was the answer to that?
Okay, so we have another grant coming up this year through the Fire Marshal's office through they've doubled it this year. So the cancer grant is going to be it's 20 million this year instead of 10. So they're saying that people are going to get, rumor or scuttlebutt is that everybody's going to get double. So that money could be, excuse me, once that they get the application comes out, I can put that in that report back to them that we're going to use it for the solo unit that we've already purchased. So we have the ability to get funding that way.
What was the one that I didn't catch the first part where you said you've already made a request for something else?
For Firehouse Subs. Yeah, and then the government
I-
one is coming out. We got the last 2 years, we've got money from them. We put towards bunker gear. This year, we could put towards the solo decon or whatever unit we get, we could put it towards it. Hence, if we get the Firehouse Sub grant, then that money's, because the Firehouse Sub grant's going to pick up that whole cost. If we're lucky enough to get it, we'll keep our fingers crossed. So the government do have the OFM has that annual cancer grant money they're putting out, and it's going to be 20 million instead of 10 this year. So we have potential to get double what we got last year. We will apply for it when it comes, and I apply for everything. If I can get a grant, I apply for it. So.
Well, I think what you're asking there as well, it was 16,000 that we've got the last 2 previous years.
Yeah.
And he's saying that this year, hopefully with the same criteria, which we're not sure yet,
And the 16,000 went towards fire gear then?
it went to bunker gear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Member Rennerson.
If I may through you, what kind of installation costs, or is this readily plug and play, or drains, or what do we need inside the fire hall to accept this machine?
So I've talked to a plumber about the installation, and he said it's pretty simple. It'll be a pretty simple installation. We don't have proper drainage there, but they have a pump system. We could drop it in. It'll drain into almost like a sump system, and then it'll pump it from there into a drain, which is on the other side of the room. So I have quoted that out. So we're looking at, he said it shouldn't be any more than 10 grand to install the unit, if that, he was saying. So I haven't got a firm price on that yet, but he's looking at that being the price. We have the panels right there to run it across. We're 30 feet away?
In the tool room?
Yeah. About 30 feet to run the hydro, and we have the panels right there, so that should be an easy fix. Single phase.
Just one more question, somewhat related to that. The one brand you said if we buy it as a 10-year limited warranty, but we have to do servicing every 20 months.
Yeah.
What's the recommended servicing on the other one?
They didn't say anything on servicing.
This
This is part of the warranty to maintain the warranty.
as we get up to the warranty, there's another $10,000 basically by the time we're done for extended warranty and servicing. That goes a long way towards installation and costs.
Any other questions or comments here? Member Pringle, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Carlton. Yeah, I just was kind of thinking the same thing too. There's $6,000 difference in the costs, and we just paying for the extra warranty. Like we paying for that 10-year warranty and on that aspect of it, right? So, yeah, as Councilor Winster was mentioned there too, the $900 every 20 months goes a long way to installation or whatever that may be in on the cheaper model, the Mica one, whatever, but.
They both do the same job. We can't deny that. But my I thought, well, a warranty, that's good. The track life, they don't know their expectancy, right? So we're still gonna have to service, I would imagine that we'll still have to service this Mako. I would probably want to service it because it's gonna clean a lot of equipment. So that's designed to clean our air packs, our helmets, our boots, and all the carcinogens on that stuff's gonna be going through this system. So we're hoping that, you know, we can get a long life out of it. We're gonna have to maintain it though, so it keeps doing that job.
Go ahead.
So the cheaper brand, are they a new model to the market, or is it a new company, or have they been in existence for a number of years?
I think this is kind of they branched off to what they usually do. These are a new system overall. This is new to the trade, or to the trade of fire service. We've never had anything like this to clean, and it's a very young, it's a very young thing under the cancer prevention, and that's where all this started to come from. So it's newer. I don't foresee a lot of issues, but I don't know because we haven't seen much track record on them. And people that talk on both of them, I talk to people with Solo, I've talked to people with Miko. They both talk about they do a great job. They just do things a little different, but they all do a great job.
So a question about where all of this is currently being cleaned and what's it costing us to get it cleaned? Because I'm assuming we're getting this all done already.
There's nothing out there for this now. We clean it. We do it in the fire hall with garden hoses and scrub brushes. And our equipment, like our air packs, are the same thing. They get scrubbed. Talking to these people, that both manufacturers that talk about them, is it's going to take about 3 washes to get everything out that needs to be out of them. We can clean them, but we're not getting a lot. Like, there's still quite a high percentage of carcinogens in that, or cancer causing stuff in the equipment. So this will give the ability to get it to where drop that level of any threats of cancer. It's going to help get that threat of cancer down, which is big now, and that is big with the OFM, Ministry of Labor. They're all over this stuff, is getting this stuff cleaned.
So then do other departments in the area have one of these units already? I guess where I'm looking at is, if other departments don't, is this something we can do a charge out for, that clean other equipment?
Well, there are departments in the area that have them. I think Aaron Eldersley have them. They have the Solo unit. They're quite happy with it. I don't think Owen Sound does not have one yet, but I think you'll see every department getting them to pull all this stuff out of service, to say, come up from Chatsworth to our department and bring all your bottles up. I think there's potential for that. If somebody wanted to bring, like, they'd only bring a handful at a time. If they get a call, they don't want to be out of service. So there is potential for that, but I don't know if anybody's doing that.
Any other comments or questions on this one? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of questions that I'm asking, but as far as water consumption, is one use more water than the other? One a little bit smaller footprint than the other? Are they both the same?
They're basically identical. They're the same system, but they do things a little different. One might like flush water out like a different way, or some recycle water. They do recycle water in these units, but they're just different manufacturers doing the same job, the same outcome. The gear will be just as clean with either unit when it's all done.
But the biggest difference being there isn't a 10-year warranty on the one where there is on the other.
Yes, correct. They both do this. They do it both. You can't knock either one of them down. They both do a good job.
So the one thing I read is that they're putting all this water that's used through a filtration system, so that what goes out into the drain is clear water again. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, there's a filter system through it.
To that,
Go ahead.
Chair, whether we're talking the residual that's running off into the water, have to remember our firefighters who are out there will be sweating, will be exposed to it. So those things are being absorbed into it. We've looked at spending, I don't know how much money on the washroom, right, to have showers to decon after. And so we're going to be hopefully there's a policy and procedure for firefighters to decon back at the hall. And then this would further having the equipment to be clean that they are putting back in service, right? And the number of fire calls are roughly, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's preventative for long-term effects of cancer.
Great, thank you for that.
Welcome.
Any other comments or questions then? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And maybe I should have clarified, we have solo rescue decon washer in here. Is that what we're actually going for? We're not asking to go for the cheaper unit? Should have asked that before I called the vote.
As long as it's not a prorated warranty and it's a very well-written, hard-faced warranty, but if it's a prorated warranty that after 5 years, you're paying for parts, you're paying for labor, but we might give you a new metal frame or whatever. That's the only question I have. Warranty, the term warranty sounds great. You actually read the fine print of warranty. What are you buying? What are you getting? That's my biggest concern, but it's hard to make a decision based on what we have in front of us.
Okay, so I just have to actually have the warranty here if you want. I can just read the limited warranty is valid for a period of 10 years, 120 months from the date of installation. In the event the solo decon washer delivered by the rescue IntelliQuick would not meet the requirements under the said limited warranty, that is, there would be a defect in materials workmanship as shown within 120 months from that date of delivery, rescue IntelliTech shall, at its own expense, either redeliver the relevant solo decon washer upon receipt of defective products and the confirmation of the defect, remedy the relevant defect. Rescue IntelliTech shall, at its own discretion, choose either one remedy to be or other to be eligible for the full 10-year coverage. The customer must adhere to preventative maintenance requirements specified. So it's the 20 months.
Is there anything but labor?
It says IntelliTech at its own cost and expense either deliver the solo, so it doesn't say anything directly towards labor. He said at no cost to us when I talked to him on the phones.
If we're all good with the way that went, sorry for not asking that question before. Next item is dispatch services. So the recommendation is that the Intertownship Joint Board of Management recommends signing a 10-year agreement with Owen Sound Police for fire department dispatching and forward to ownership councils for ratification. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Bell and Member Keaveney and Fire Chief.
Yeah, as per direction of the board, I did go back and start researching the dispatch services. And I reached out to 2 other dispatch services plus Owen Sound. And we're looking at, with the dispatch services, we've had 3 different quotes. When Owen Sound come back, they come back with at the lowest quote at this time. And if you look at the 10-year, the charts for the 2 10 years, so Niagara was the closest, or St. Catharines was the closer one. But after 10 years, they're going to be with their increases in target projections, they're going to be at 50,031, where in 10 years, Owen Sound is going to be 42,195.21. Grey County Chiefs went back to Owen Sound once they've got their tender, their proposals for the next 10 years, and that's what Owen Sound come back with. So they came back with a different proposal for the Chiefs, and from the research that I've done, they are coming in lower, same level of services as St. Catharines would offer, and with the Barrie, their increase. They do charge extra if we have to do our 911 service through them. There's an extra cost to that as well. And they were looking at, they're about 43,000, what Barrie was going to be after it's all said and done. So I was just want to recommend that we stick with Owen Sound. And sign that document to sign the contract to continue on for the next 10 years. Any,
Bill?
Thank you, Chair Carlton. Thank you, Chief, for the report. I think in your paragraph about your conclusion, I think that's just exactly what you just wound up saying, that the Youngstown Police Service have demonstrated the ability to deliver good service at a good value. And that is why you just said what you said, Chief. And I can see that reading the report with the other costs that I can support carrying on with them for the next decade. Okay.
and that being said, is all the other Grey County Fire Departments are in this, and it kind of works with our communication system too, because it's Grey County Communications and it's managed by, like the radios are all programmed through the police. So everything kind of is in one lump sum or one group there now. So
Question? So I do have a question. It doesn't say in there, or I didn't see it. So there is an annual increase. How much is that annual increase with it?
okay, so with Owen Sound is 3.5 for 27 through 32, and then a 3% from 33 to 35.
And you mentioned the Grey County Fire Chief. So was there an actual written quotation received from each of these to the fire chiefs, or?
Yes, yes, yeah. I've got one from Barry here sitting in front of me, and one from St. Catharines as well. At St. Catharines, theirs is a 4% increase for the first 2 years, and then 3.5 for 2 more, 3, and then it goes down to 2.5. But after 10 years, it's still 50.
So am I to take it then that these quotes were issued to the Grey County Fire Chiefs and it's applicable to all departments in the
Yeah.
area then?
Any department would, yeah. And the numbers will fluctuate a bit on population, like they use your demographics and population as part of the quotes as well. So some will be a little lower, some could be a little higher, but the numbers are the same on how they came to the math part of it. It's just got so much per capita, I guess is the best thing to say.
So I'm assuming that this cost is lower this year in 2026 than we paid in 2025, assuming that we carried a $46,000 budget, right? So we've actually had cost savings with all some police services. Good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. The next item is our Q1 report for this year. Recommendation that Intertownship Board of Management receive report ITFD 2026-06 for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Plagans and Member Winters, and go ahead, Chief Petrarch.
Yeah, to start off this year, we have a little increase of 2 calls this year. Everything seems to be running as per normal, as normal as can be, I guess. We've had Jackson and Todd Nieroff, like I was saying earlier, they both complete their hazmat certification, so now they're fully certified firefighters, which is great to see. So we, it's great to see a fire department like this with everybody certified, and we have a lot of interest now starting off this year with firefighters wanting to do like more training. Like we've got quite a handful now doing public education, which is a big part of going to be a bigger part of our job moving forward. And we've got a bunch of them that are doing fire inspector on their own as well to get into some of the prevention stuff. So they're doing that kind of as their own learning to build up their knowledge wise. So they're going above and beyond that way too. So we've got, and our goal is, Andy and I, and we've talked about it training wise, is trying to get as many firefighters on our fire department to level 1 officers, because it helps with make competent supervisors. So whenever our firefighters arrive on scene first, they can be considered competent supervisors, which is a good thing. So we're hoping to get more and more doing that. We're looking at doing a learning contract for that, which a learning contract is the OFM will give us the material, and then we teach it in-house, and then we write all the relevant tests that need to be written, and then they can be certified level 1 officers. So we've got a bit of interest that way. And we've had a couple firefighters that have completed their instructor level 2 as well in the last little bit. So we're heading in the right direction. And Andy is started his stuff, like that was during this last quarter as well, is to get his specialized rescue, rope rescue technician level. So then when Andy gets that, then we have the ability to build on it and start doing that in-house as well, and getting our people up to an operations level and getting a few up to a technician level, so that in the future with the rope rescue, we are competent. We got till 2028 to get a certification in that specialized rescue stuff. So that's our goal, is to get, they put all this certification on us. It's a great thing. I mean, it's nice to see that we're all training equally across the province now. So it's, and I'm building on the momentum of my firefighters as well with their interest, as I want to keep them interested. And he's been doing a great job getting them with our training and getting them wanting to do these things. And our training, we're bumping up our training for the skill levels and making it really interesting for the firefighters. So we're hoping, and just keep getting built, getting bigger and better. So.
Thank you for that. Any comments or questions on that item? And we're receiving that one for information, so I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And the final one, sole source procurement of bunker gear. So the recommendation, the purpose of this report is to recommend the sole source purchase of bunker gear, structural firefighting personal protective equipment for the Inter-Township Fire Department. This recommendation is based on operational requirements, firefighter safety, compatibility, and long-term cost efficiency. We have not completed a formal procurement process for bunker gear in several years. We are committed to completing a full procurement process as part of the 2027 budget. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Pringle, Member Bell, and back to you.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is we've, in our budget, we have a line budget to replace bunker gear. So I've been working with Ryan and Sam in the finance or treasury, and looking at our gear, and we've used Lakeland gear for years now. It's a pretty hardy gear, it stands up well. The firefighters like it, and we have made some customized it a little bit with the inner liner, the moisture barrier and stuff. So we've been using that gear all along, but I think in the best interest of the fire department and the board here and councils is we need to do some procurement, maybe getting something set up, working forward so that, how do I want to say this, is we're going to be consistent with our gear. We want to, it might be Lakeland that is the good one, but we're going to do comparables to the exact same gear from other manufacturers to move forward. There's some drawbacks to changing manufacturers. That being the biggest one is if I have a set of Lakeland gear and I want to get, and I get another set of gear B, and it's a different manufacturer, there's no, if I rip my coat or pants, I can't switch to the other pants. You have to keep the set together. So, but Lakeland gear is interchangeable. So if I need to give somebody else a piece of equipment, when it's consistent and across the board, we can interchange it. So we're just looking at being more transparent and getting that, because we haven't done one for a while, is getting a procurement and getting a policy and get something set so we can do this over a longer duration, maybe to purchase one like for a certain manufacturer.
Member Bell, then Keaveney.
Chief, what does the bunker gear entail? From your head to the soles of your feet, your entire body coverage, or is there anything like the helmet? Is it separate?
Yeah. So the boots and helmets and gloves, balaclavas are all separate. The bunker gear is your coat and your pants. That's your turnout set. So that's what we're talking about here.
Thank you.
For Keaveney.
Thank you, Chair Carlton, and a couple of questions again, if I may, for the chief. We're talking about several years. Do we know how many years since we've replaced a bunker gear?
We replaced 10 sets a year already, but we've been with the same manufacturer. We've been with Lakeland Gear. When that gear, we started with that gear. As the gear improved, we made the firefighters, in conjunction with the firefighters, because they're wearing it. They're the ones in it every day. And it's a hardy gear. It stands up well. So they had the input on the gear, and we made it better for them. Like the protective inner liner has been, it's a better liner for our firefighters. It protects them better. So we've done things to make their job safer as well. So they've had input on that. So it's evolved from when we first started to what we have now. And we got a set of gear now that I think Andy can reiterate that, because he talks to them more about the gear, is they're happy with the gear, and it's meeting their standards. To go to another manufacturer and not get the same level, that's one of my concerns as well.
I think the several years refers to several years since we've actually gone out and done a procurement quotation.
Yeah.
We've been purchasing every year based on the last one.
Yeah, no, I was just curious to know about that. Thank you, Chair. And I also wanted to ask Chief, as we just talked about the decon unit, will that likely increase the life expectancy of the gear? Does that have any impact on?
Yeah. Well, with our bunker gear now at this time, it doesn't go in this solo unit. It's sent away and it's professionally cleaned after every structure fire. If our firefighters get dirty, it's shipped away and gets cleaned, professionally cleaned, comes back. If there's repairs that need to be done, that's all done. The solo unit's gonna, actually, it'll lengthen the expectancy of our gloves, our helmets, boots, anything, even our nozzles, anything that we can get in there to be washed will be washed. Our air packs are gonna be in there. The masks will be in there, the masks they wear. So any equipment we can put in that will get cleaned, and it'll increase the life expectancy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Member Bell.
Thank you again, Chair. So it's obvious, I have seen reports like this of those upgrading and changing of bunker gear. What does the ITFD do with old gear? What happens when you've said, that's done, you get a new kit, what happens to the old one?
In the past, we'll get direction from the board, and we've sent it to we've had gear go to Mexico. We've had actually gear go north in Ontario here as well. I'm kind of leery I don't really like sending gear within our own province, because we have to meet a standard. So if we're giving them gear, then we're saying that you're not meeting the standard. So a lot of it goes south. But gear's 10 years, after 10 years, it can't be used. It doesn't meet the requirements, can't be certified for firefighting.
Seeing no other questions, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We have nothing from administration and finance, no unfinished business, no new business. Going into board inquiries and comments, I should have mentioned this at the very beginning of the meeting. Congratulations to our department on the ice rescue and the work that went into that, and how everybody came together and coordinated that. So pass my thanks back to everyone that was involved, please.
And just going to add to that, I've been asked to go to the county council or a county meeting to talk about this, and I think Ryan's probably been invited as well. So they just want to kind of wrap their heads around to see if this can be a kind of a collaborative thing moving forward, or how we deal with this. Hopefully we never deal with a 7-kilometer chunk of ice breaking off again, because it matters. Even though we tax our firefighters, put a lot of stress on firefighters, knowing that you can't get in the water to help them. And we're just trying to do everything we can to make sure we're available or supporting them if they do drift now. Everybody worked hard. So yes, thank you for that. But I just wanted to let you know that there may be more conversation coming out of this in the next future years.
And I was making the assumption there would be something special for everyone at the award ceremony during this fall.
Could be.
Could be.
The OPP have reached out, and they're wanting to do accommodations for that as well. So they got a list of our department and every other department that was involved. And they want to do, the OPP sergeant wants to do something that way. I think they need to do something for those pilots because that was an amazing day. Watching those pilots land that on the ice. Well, they weren't even landing on the ice. They were probably inches off the ice when they set it down. So it just, everything, it was, you couldn't ask for a better outcome. Yeah, and as well, we're going to be doing something with Cobble Beach. They don't know that yet, but we're looking at, we all met as a debrief. We all got together the fall, or I think a week later, 2 weeks later, we got together, all the organizations that were involved got together. We had a debrief. So we're going to be doing something, hopefully, we're going to do something this summer with Cobble Beach. I got to reach out to make sure Jeff's, what weekends will be free for him. We're going to get a plaque made with all the flashes from all the departments that were involved and all the, whoever got involved with the rescue, and then we're going to present that to them for hanging up in their restaurant because they gave up. I think they asked people to leave when we were out there so that we could have the dining room area. So that's where EMS set up in the dining room. They had like a mini triage center set up there to evaluate everybody as they came in. So we need to do something for them. So it sounds like maybe we're going to ask them if we can have a barbecue or something just to show our appreciation as well.
Excellent. Sounds like a great idea. Okay. Does any member wish to make an inquiry or comment? Seeing nothing, we have no closed session. Date of the next regular meeting will be July 21st at 2026 at 2 p.m. There's no further business. I will now call for adjournment of this meeting at 3:06 p.m. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Member Pringle, Member Plagans, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you, everyone.